You're welcome to today's monthly webinar series. And actually, this is the January edition and the first for this digital marketing services. We offer cloud services, collaboration systems, and then last but not the least, we offer certified trainings. All right. So, and we do serve variety during and after. Boss, Mr. Daniel Okon. He's on the call currently. HR and Corporate Services at Human Investment Group Africa. Juliet Kepuru exemplifies transformative HR leadership.
pre-interview best practices, the interview blueprint, post-interview actions, of course, conclusions, and then we have question and answers at the end of it all, right? So I think the first assignment, or maybe the first task I'll give everybody on the call right now, is to get a copy of your CV close by, because I want us to be, live and direct. You don't know when else, Speedlink decide to organize something like this. So you do not want to miss the opportunity. Please, whatever your CV is, just pull it out. Hard copy, soft copy, have it close, so that as we're working through this process, you would be making corrections where necessary, right? So you do not miss out on anything at all, right? So I'll probably give you like maybe 2 minutes, right, to grab your CV, right? So before we start proper, so I'm giving you 2 minutes. I'm just going to talk through this slide. Why you get your CV, your cover letter, everything you're using to apply for jobs before now. Just get everything together before we move on to the next slide. So yeah, job searching itself is more than a task. Job searching is not even easy, right? Job searching can be a lot. I know the job market is, I think the word that's coming to my mind is volatile. It's very, very hot. And it's only, the people that are really ready for the heat that survives, at the end of it all. Job searching through every grade, right? Whether you're interning, your entry level, mid-level, senior level, right? Job searching is more than a task. It's not just something you do randomly, because everybody is trying to be the best, candidate for a job, which is why you have to be prepared, right? And I like to see it as a journey that requires strategy, confidence, and persistence. So you cannot try once and give up, right? You cannot be saying you're looking for a job and then you apply to only one company, they didn't call you, and then you give up that, oh, Nigeria is such a bad place, or the job market, there are no jobs in Lagos, or there are no jobs in wherever your location is, right? So it requires strategy, confidence, and persistence. Now, it's not just about even finding any job, but finding the right one where your skills, your values, and your aspirations align, right? You want a job that, helps you sleep peacefully at night. I think that's the summary of what, I would be able to explain that line. You want a job that helps you live a life, of fulfillment. You want a job that helps you sleep peacefully at night. You want a job, that allows you to be the best version of yourself, so that you can develop in every areas of your life, professionally, personally, all areas. Because I think the key thing is, if you do not get to match yourself with the right job at the end of the day, right, it impacts other areas of your life. If you, I know some people say they're able to separate their work from their personal life, there's no way it meets, right? But if you take a true survey of the kind of impact the jobs you've done in the past, right, maybe the previous jobs you've done or the current job you do, you'll be able to tell that it greatly impacts how how other areas of your life are as a human being. Like it goes through it from start to finish. Now, job searching, right, it all starts with a CV. And it's supposed to tell your story powerfully, right? And then followed by preparation that sets you apart. Now, CV, people just, I think, before I'll go into the next slides to talk more detail about CV, I think from my experience as an HR professional and of course a recruiter, I've probably had like opportunity to review over, if I'm not mistaken, maybe over 3,000, 4,000 CVs. And in summary, right, I can categorically say on this call that we don't really put so much effort into CV these days, right? Except people that are really, willing to maybe sit down and do it properly, or the ones that are willing to engage a professional, right? But we don't put too much effort, into CVs these days. Even before now, it was way worse. But at least now, we have people that are resume writers, professional CV writers. We have, the help of AI tools here and there. Even with all of that, right, people are still not getting it right. CV itself is, originated from Latin, and it means course of life, right? Full meaning curriculum vitae, course of life. So it's supposed to be a document that contains your entire career history from start to finish, right? So if it's your course of your career life, right, why not make it a document that truly reflects who you want to represent, as a person or as a professional in this light, how you want to be perceived, how you want to be taken seriously, right? You have to be able to put all of that in that document because it's the course of your career life, right? No, of course, after job searching start with the CV, you follow through preparation, that sets you apart. And then, of course, you come to interviews when you get a chance to come self-promote yourself. And then in that stage, you bring your story to life, showcasing not just your qualifications, but your confidence and your connection to even the role you're applying for, right? So today, right, we are going to explore how to navigate every step of this process. I took my time to take this process from start to finish. So please, I hope you already have your CV with you, because we're going to be starting from crafting a perfect CV to mastering interviews and leaving a lasting impression even after all the process is over, right? So believing that you've already grabbed your CV, I'm moving on to the next slide, right? So I think I just want to confirm that if you've, grabbed your CV, if you have all your tools that you've been using before now with you, please just type yes in the comments. So Nosa, please help me check. I want to get at least maybe 3. If it's even 3, people that are with me, I want to be sure that these 3 persons, will come back and come and testify, because I want to be sure that we follow the process from start to finish. So if I get 3 yeses, move to the next slide. So drop a yes in the comments if you have gotten your CV close by or your cover letter, whatever it is the reason to apply for jobs before now, I want to know that you drop it. So any comments? 3 comments?
Yeah, we have 2. We're still waiting for one more.
Okay, so who is this person holding us back? Get your CV. Speedlink has really done that. This is supposed to be like a masterclass people pay for, but Speedlink is bringing you. Oh my God. And it's bringing it through an avenue that is going to tell you everything from A to Z. I'm sure HR people on this call, if they're on this call, they'll be like, this girl is spilling all the teas. But I do not mind.
We have the 3rd one. So
okay. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. So let's move. All right. So I think on my screen you're seeing like a sample of the CV that I'm going to be talking about. I'm using as a sample to show you what a perfect CV looks like. So I purposely titled, this slide, The Anatomy of a Perfect CV, right? Because I know during my biography, so I mentioned that, background in human anatomy. So in a way, right, was the anatomy in the whole thing, right? So anatomy, is just to say these are, the key structures, the key components that you should have in a CV that will win and give you access, right? That's just it. So now going right into it, right? So now it's important to understand that I think I already defined CV as, a document that tells you, your professional story, your professional history, the course of your career life from start to finish, where you started from, where you are now, and where you intend to even go to, right? So now that document has key sessions. Now, there are a lot of CV, templates, a lot. There are a lot of it out there. If you need 1,000 types of templates, they're out there. But for the purpose of, wanting to craft a CV that will be perfect and that will win at all times, pay attention to these key sessions. So these sessions must be in your CV. Now, any other thing you want to add after now is just Jara. But if these ones are not there, the other things you've added will not matter at the end of the day. So key sections of a CV. So running through it, personal information. This is where you have your full name, your email address, your phone number, and your LinkedIn profile, right? In this section, you can also include things like if you have a personal website, right? So persons have a personal profile website. You can also include that link in this session. Some persons also have portfolios, people that do, design, some social media manager, these people in that category. You have a portfolio, right, of all your works, your client feedbacks. You can also include that in this session. Now, another thing I would like to stress in this part is your name, written in full. I know sometimes people have 3 names. You want to include your full name, your first name, middle name, and of course your last name in your CV. But, right, depending on your preference, it doesn't really matter. Whether 3 names, 2 names, fine. But just ensure that, the top of the CV is not looking like, there's war going on. Depending on the kind of name you have. I know my middle name, I cannot add it to my CV because I feel like the interviewer is going to leave the CV and start looking at that name. It's going to take the attention of that CV. So you know how your names are structured. So just, do what works at the end of the day. Whether your 3 names, your 4 names, 2 names, but I prefer 2 names, keep it short, keep it simple. You don't want too much information. Now your email address has to be professional, right? I think I've seen some really funny email addresses in the course of my own career life. I think I've seen fineboy25 something at Gmail. I've seen Esther the Great at, I've seen like quite a number of emails, right? But I would say I get the vibe. I get, you want to portray that you're this, you're that, but this is professional work we're talking about. So you want to have an email that is professional, that is carrying your 2 names or your 3 names. My name is Juliet Kekporo, so my email address is julieskekporo@gmail.com. All my emails, julieskekporo@gmail.com, julieskekporo@outlook.com. Juliet, nomenclature, you want to maintain your identity. So that's how your email address should be. Your phone number, always have it in +234 format, not the regular 080 or 070, or as the case may be, +234 format, because I also expect that you're also applying for international roles, right? And you want to be able to specify your country code. So always put it +234. That works every time. Then LinkedIn profile. Then something else I've also do not include in my slide is address. So, right, your address, you don't need to mention, your streets, your junction, your bus stop. You don't need all of that information. This is 2025, right? Just put your state and your country. That's enough. Lagos State, Nigeria. Rivers State, Nigeria. Or Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Which other state should I use? Oyo, Ibadan, right? That works. Don't bother about your bus stop, your junction, your street name, all of those informations. It makes the CV bulky. It's really not relevant. And most times it can even, act against you. It could be, a way, it could be, some kind of bias, like, oh, you live far away, we won't call you for an interview. Because really, if you, as an HR professional, if I was recruiting for a role and maybe proximity is like the key thing for this role, I need somebody that lives around this particular environment. So imagine that you've put out your CV and you have put there. So let's say maybe I wanted to recruit somebody I wanted somebody that stays around Lekki, for example, and then you put your address. Maybe you put somewhere as let's say you put Shango Tedo, for example, for those that live in Lagos, right? So if I was going to be screening CVs and I wanted to give importance to the level of shortlisting, I'll probably pay attention to everybody that probably Lekki or something before I start to pay attention to. So sometimes you may not even get your leg in the door because of just some really easy simple things that you're not supposed to. So don't put all of that information there. Just put your state and your country. Or you can put maybe Lekki, Lagos State, or Lagos State, Nigeria. That works. Your state, your country, good to go. So now your profile summary. So I call this part the elevator pitch. You know how you have like 30 seconds to convince somebody that you are the person for this job. You're the woman for this job. You're the man for this job. This is your area. I think there are some generic summaries I've been seeing, the ability to work under pressure, which other one again? A great multitasker. I'm trying to remember some of those things. A great multitasker. I'm looking for where I can contribute my best. I'm seeking great challenges. Please those words. Truth is, if you really see pressure, right? I'm not sure you can handle it. And even multitasking has been proven not to really be a skill that's even beneficial, right? Because it has been seen that it contributes, a lot more worse to your body, your brain, even to your task, because you're not focused. You're not going to produce good results when you multitask, too much. So you want to be able to write things that really capture who you are and why you should be selected for the role. I think the guide I usually, talk about in this area is do it in knowledge, skill, abilities and other characteristic format. Just pay attention to this. Knowledge, that's KSAO, right? That's the guide I like to teach. Knowledge, skill, abilities and other characteristics. So when you're writing this part, right, 3 to 4 sentences to talk about your career victories, you want to be able to mention your foundation, right? That's your knowledge. And you want to be able to add what your skills are. Make sure things that you are, you're passionate about. Don't write things that, they will ask you questions and then you cannot really, relate, just like putting something that you don't know, right, on your CV, and you ask the questions that you cannot defend it. So you want to write the thing that naturally make you shine, I think Nigerians will call it where you have sharp mouth, right? So that is key. So now, So after you establish your key, your abilities, skills, right? You now talk about your abilities and of course your other characteristics. So if I was going to probably, I'm using the sample I have on my screen, you would see, 21 plus years experience, value driven and result oriented technical training expert and senior management professional with a track record of spearheading cross-functional teams for conceptualizing, delivering, managing, evaluating training programs across diverse domains. So that person has solidified that he is knowledgeable in this field. He has 21 years experience. He has described who he is, and he has also mentioned, the kind of trail now of this knowledge, right? And then adept at liaising with varied stakeholders, to champion clinical learning, technical training initiative for professionals, senior management, and SMEs, armed with an extensive techno managerial experience for coordinating with senior leadership to effectively formulate and execute commercial learning. So if you look at all these things that I've said, this is a bit of grammar because of the particular industry the person is in. But this is a dummy CV. There's nobody that's on the bill, please. So just for a disclaimer. But I used it to so that I can show you what it's supposed to sound or look like, right? So if you look at this CV, he solidified his knowledge, right? And what he can do, right? And of course, he's also mentioned his other characteristics. He's value-driven, he's result-oriented. There's a lot of grammar you can use to describe yourself. Like, it's not even supposed to be hard again. There's dynamic. Look at yourself. Who are you, right? Even passionate. There are a lot of words that you can play with, to describe yourself in this part of your CV. So just ensure, you use words that are relevant at the end of the day. And just keep it to 3 to 4 sentences. If at all, max 5 sentences, right, to be able to talk about your career victories. Now, your work experience. In this area, you want to be able to use action verbs and be sure to quantify your achievements and highlight relevance. I think one thing that I've noticed with CVs that I've seen, that need rework, people just copy and paste their JDs. That's when I mean JD, I mean job description. People just copy their JD and then they paste it onto the CV and that's it. So that does not work anymore. So you can't just copy your JD and post there. What a recruiter wants to see, what a hiring manager wants to see, what an employer wants to see is what you did with this job description. So let's say your job description is to maybe ensure office supplies are requested for on time, for example. So let's say your job description is to say, okay, replenish office supplies, right? So instead of carrying that replenish office supply into, as if some people will just change it to pass, they just say replenished and they think it has worked. No. So instead of, another way to write something like that would be to say, ensured, consistent replenishment of office supplies, right? Ensuring that all supplies or all office equipment needed are available in the office at all times. And then you can say achieving 100%, satisfaction rate among team members or among employees, or leading to efficiency of all team members. So you want to be able to just captivate that thing and the result. I'm sure that, nobody, I don't believe anybody, goes to a job and they did not have evidence or what you have actually done or, results. I don't think anybody like that. Right. So the things that they're given to you as a job description, look through them, evaluate yourself. I think one thing I even advise professionals to do is have a book where you track your achievements as a professional. So it's easy for you to update your CV. You're not going to be thinking, what did I achieve last month? What did they praise me for? Or personally, what did I say for myself, that did not work? So it's good to have, it could be a book, it could be anyhow you want to track your achievements. It could be an Excel sheet. It could be, I think for me, what works best is I like to write a lot. Because sometimes your laptop will not be closed all the time, or your phone, you want to just scribble things down. So you can get a book and say, and call it your achievement tracker, right? So on that book, just put down anything you achieve at work, even the smallest thing, right? Put it down, because by the time you start to update this information, you need all of that to write, so you're not writing things that, do not align with your role at the end of the day, right? So that's a great way to start. And of course, education, focus on certifications and degrees that are relevant to the role, right? I think the advice I'll probably give in this area is for your educations and your certifications, what is relevant, essentially. And then the part of education where you put your secondary school, your primary school, your BSc. For anybody that has already gotten to BSc level or HND, please, your primary school degree has no business in your CV. If it is there right now, just take it out. First, remove it, right? Your primary, your first school leaving certificate has no business in your CV. As long as you have earned a BSc, you have earned HND, right? Please remove your primary school. You don't need this anymore. And then if you're on those call, you've already gotten an MBA or an MSc, your WAEC has no business in your CV anymore. You move past that, right? Your CV should only be having your BSc and your MBA now, right? And of course, as you continue to move forward, because we really want to create enough space to write things that are very, very relevant. So that's the goal for that. Then, of course, your skills, you want to be able to tailor, to the job description, including both technical and soft skills. I'm going to touch more on this, in the next slide. So you want to be able to tailor, the skills, you put on your CV to the job description that you want to apply for, right? I would explain this proper on the next slide. So moving on to the next slide. Okay, all right. So common mistakes. 1 minute. So common CV mistakes to avoid. Now, when you're writing CV or you're updating your CV, there are 3 key areas that you have to pay attention. So that's typos and grammatical errors. I feel like this one, even as Nigerians, we're very biased towards language, pronunciations, and somebody says something and everybody starts to laugh. It's funny, but even in real life, right, it happens. So you want to be able to, find a way. Either you use, tools. I think AI tools. I think Grammarly works so well. You can even use the free version to proofread anything you write, right? So that you don't go and say debt. I think I've seen one funny one I've seen is debt hiring manager. I'm like, I better go. What is going on, right? So you want to check your spellings at the end of the day to ensure that everything you've written, even your sentence, that the language is very refined, the content is detailed, your sentences are put together, right, when you're trying to express yourself. Now, overloading with irrelevant information. So yes, I get the drift, I get it that you're trying to really impress these people. You're trying to impress the hire. You're trying to say, what, if you don't hire me, well, you have missed out. I understand. But please avoid adding unnecessary things. Like, avoid adding unnecessary things, right? Maybe you, for every level of career you're getting to, there are some parts of your CV that should be falling out as you're going. They are no longer relevant. It's not what's going to make them hire you. So you want to be sure to take away things that are not relevant. I think I've highlighted some things at the beginning, all those long addresses, all those educations that you've already moved like 2 steps higher. Take out the last one. You want to write and write and write and write and write and write. Like if you look at the CV that is on my screen, you can see that for every job description that this person has done, right, at least about 4 bullet points. 4 bullets. See, you're not alpha, you're not omega, you're not superstar, right? To be writing 10 things on the CV, because you need to create space for you to write more relevant things. So please keep it very brief. 4 bullet points, 5 bullet points, you're good, right? And even focus more on the recent experiences you have, right? Your most recent job where you're in, you can do as long as maybe 5 bullet points there, because that's where you are now. That's where your result is speaking. Of course, the one before that, I think the idea I like to use is the first one. If you want to start with 5 or 6, right? The next one 5, the next one 4. For every, as you keep going back, you be removing like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So you have space in the CV. You don't want it crowded, and now being able to maybe even fish out information that really matter to you. And I'll stay clear of unnecessary personal information like age, local government area, marital status, or a photo, right? Except it's a modeling job. Except they need to really see your gap teeth or your smile. They want to see your beards. If it's necessary, except it's a modeling, or maybe you're going for a marketing role, they want to see what you look like. There are some roles that they want, looks are part of the criteria. Except it's those kind of rules. Please, your picture has no business in your CV, right? Your marital status, your LGA, your age, nobody has no business with those. Those are your personal information, right? It is when you have joined an organization, when you're uploading your employee documentation, when your HR is in onboarding, and that's when, they request for all these things, and you can fill it at that time. But please, on your CV, you don't need all these things, because he creates, you can get screened now because of unconscious bias. I'm going to give an example. So every human being on this earth has unconscious bias. I think last year I took an extensive course on diversity, equity, inclusion, justice, belonging. Oh my God, it was a lot. But I think one thing, that I highlighted that is very, very common is unconscious bias. Like, everybody has it, right? Somebody can just be like, well, I don't like fair-skinned people. Somebody can go, I don't like dark-skinned people. Or somebody can be like, I don't like people from so states, right? And then you go and put all your life history on your CV, age. Or maybe they'll say, I don't like this organization. Maybe they have bad experience with Gen Z, right? I think I don't know what Gen Z did, but I personally love Gen Zs. I particularly love Gen Zs, right? And of course, all generations will please. But then I'm just trying to say, I don't have issues with Gen Z in general, because I believe that, the rebirth of the workforce, if you know how to work with Gen Zs, oh my God, you'll be so glad. So, there's this, like, oh, Gen Zs are they, Gen Zs are that. Imagine you now go and put your CV 2000 or something, right? And maybe that particular hiring manager has a bad experience with a particular person from that generation. I'll be like, oh, this person is going to be like that when they also join us. They are, that word, they are like that. People from this particular state or region, they are like that. People have conscious bias. So it's almost like, you do not want to put yourself out there and say, judge me, be the judge of me, right? So please, it's not relevant. Your age, except it is, see, for any job that requires, they will ask you. I think the picture one is the one that annoys me most. You don't need it. There's really nothing that, except is, the roles I've mentioned, marketing, I think sales, some sales role, they need to lose some type of weight, they need some kind of color of skin, I think even what interview processes even request now is, they'll request a video submission, of you. So from there, they can see all they need to see. Please check it out. All right. So the next part I want to talk about is tips for optimization, right? So what you want to be able to do is that, because there's something we now call ATS, it is necessary for your CVs to now be optimized. So ATS just means applicant tracking system, which are softwares or tools, right, that helps recruiters and hiring managers, manage the recruitment process. Just like how the way we used to do it before. Traditionally, you submit a CV, somebody will go through them, one by one, read all the CVs, and then now pick people, schedule interviews, and go forward. So all of that, AI and everything, like the whole world is so beautiful right now, making the job easy for everyone. So we have these tools, right, that you can program, put in the JD, the job description, put in the qualifications, requirements, and then you can connect it to, it can be linked to maybe different platforms where you advertise for job, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, all the platforms. The AI posts this job and then receives applications. When you submit, you fill some forms, you attach your CV, the AI receives it, screens it, and then shortlists candidates for interview. Like, I think it's a game changer in recruitment. Although I personally, I don't really like ATS, because sometimes I think it lacks human connection, and you can miss out on some good candidates just because they did not really write the right things in their CV. So now this is how an ATS works. So a recruiter wants to recruit for a priority, and then he says the candidate must have 5 years experience. The candidate must have been in a leadership role for, let's say, 3 years, and the candidate should be a great communicator, right? So the recruiter goes ahead to impute all these details in the CV, 5 years experience, leadership, communication, the key words for this job in that whole template, and then uploads it on the ATS. So what happens is that for every application that goes into that, system, the ATS would scan it or screen it, as the case may be. And if there is nothing that looks like 5 years leadership communication, it flings like, I think it's fling, I like to use, because it happens like speed of light. It will just fling. It will not even come up. If it scans, it throws. Scans. So the moment it scans the CV, it flings it or set aside for shortlisting. That's what happens. So which is why I wanted to add this slide, in case, for people that don't know that there's something called ATS right now. I think it's been more used in the last 1 year. I think 2025 was really a game changer for recruiters when there was a lot of need for recruitment. So you want to be able to, so how to be able to, also get your CV to be ATS friendly. You want to use keywords from the job description. So let's say you're applying for a particular role you saw online, right? Look at that role very well. Sometimes I used to be like, do people read these job descriptions? I think people just rush. You just see a role, you just rush, and you submit your CV at the end of the day. But what you want to do is you want to take time, right? And you want to look through, you want to read through that job description and check, put it side by side with your CV. Look at your CV, look at the job description, and really, be sure that it aligns. And between your heart of heart, if it doesn't align, please sit down and rewrite that CV. It is better, that you are prepared, right, than for you to show up and you are not prepared. You miss out, altogether, right? So use now, from looking at that job description, you want to be able to use the keywords in that, the keywords in that job description to, write your CV or include them in your CV rather. I'm sure it's already things that you already know how to do, but they just use different words. I want to be sure that, your CV is picked at the end of the day. So, and then of course, another thing to also note is that ATS, right, because it is software and AI, you want to ensure that you have easy readability with clear headings. You have to title your headings. That's why I think I took my time to explain these key sections of a CV. You have to highlight the headings very well. Personal information, profile, summary, work experience, education, skills, awards, everything you have to have well bulleted. You want to have it properly bulleted and everything, right? You don't want to have it scattered. And you want to be able to use fonts that are also readable. It's not every font that fits a CV. You want to pick the things that work. I think fonts that I would like to recommend, I can recommend Arial. You can also use Century Gothic. You can also use Calibri, yes. Even Times New Roman works well, right? I think 12, 13, 14, depending on how many things you need to write, just ensure you use any of this font. They work well for ATS. So that's and then I think another thing is ATS CVs, for it to be more successful, for your CV to be more friendly, just ensure to keep the format clean and neat. I think I've seen a lot of patterns of CV these days that are in two columns. I think one part carries information, one part carries the work experience. It's beautiful, right? But some ATS may not be able to read that. So you want to just keep, if you look at this CV that I have on the screen, you want to keep your CV in that format for more chances to be seen at the end of the day, right? So moving on to the next slide. So now, of course, when you're applying for jobs, you also need a cover letter, right? So I also thought to talk about cover letter, just crafting an effective cover letter. I'm just probably just run through this. So if you have a cover letter with you, just be correcting as we're moving along, right? So first off, the purpose of a cover letter. So a cover letter is supposed to complement your CV by providing a narrative of the qualifications. Right now, there are some jobs that they will just say, submit your CV, right? Fine. There are some jobs that they will say, submit your CV and cover letter too, right? So now there are some jobs that are specifically, so the jobs that specifically say, submit your CV and cover letter, it means they are asking you for two different documents. They're asking you for you to attach your CV and for you to attach a cover letter. But it doesn't mean that you will not write a body of email. You have to still type something, dear hiring manager, find attached as requested, my interest for this role. Fine. Now, the cover letter also demonstrates your interest in the role and organization. So one thing I always advise is, if it is a job that does not require a cover letter, right? Just copy your cover letter and turn it to the email format when you're applying for that job. That's for jobs that do not require for cover letter. They just attach your CV. It doesn't mean you should just, I think I've seen people that will just attach, they'll just attach CV and then we just send. No subject of the mail, no, nothing. They just send CV. Bam. I think some people will be like, dear HR or dear hiring manager, find attached. Thanks, regards. It's not fight. Remember, you're trying to stand out. You're trying to be, trying to say, I'm the woman for this job, I'm the man for this job at the end of the day. So you want to ensure that you're able to, put all of this together. So your cover letter have a standard. You can either attach it if it's requested specifically, or it can just be your email for the jobs you apply for. So you can have it in a format that you can always change, the details in the cover letter. I'll probably take the structure so that we understand what I mean. So now, structure of a cover letter, it has a header, a greeting, and introduction, right? So header just means your contact information and your the recipient details. So sometimes, right, you may not be able to tell where exactly you're sending your cover letter to. Some jobs don't really put in detail the company name or the address, all those things. So what you can just do is, just keep the top, to your name, right? Your contact information, your name, that's your name. The same way you have your CV, the heading, that should be the heading of the cover letter as well, right? And then you can start with the hiring manager. But if you're very specific, if you know the company, you know the address, you know who to address it, so no problem. Put the address. You know how you write formal letter, put the address and address it properly. Right? But if you do not know, just make it generic. Start with dear, right? So now for the greeting, I think the standard is dear hiring manager, right? But if you know the person specifically, you can address the person by their name, but I would say stick with dear hiring manager or dear sir/madam, right? So that you don't have stories to tell at the end of the day. So then for introduction, in this part, you just state the role you're applying for. Dear hiring manager, right? I'm reaching out to express my interest in the admin officer role advertised on LinkedIn or as advertised, right? So you state, the role you're applying for and where you found the job posting, if possible. If you cannot even remember, just say I'm applying for so role as advertised, right? So that you do not guess, or have to struggle with if you're going to put LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you saw the job. So just put it as advertised, right, at the end of the day. So now in the body of the paragraph itself, you want to be able to highlight key accomplishments that align with the job description, providing, specific examples of your skills, your experience, and explain why you're excited about the role and the company. I think the best way I like to explain cover letter is that, remember that profile summary section of your CV where I said keep it to 3 to 4 sentences, right? So cover letter is like the extended version of that summary. So you want to write, you want to tell them why. You want to talk about your journey, your skills, what you've done, results you've achieved, extensively. Essentially, that's what happens in the paragraph of a cover letter. So like I said, don't forget your cover letter complements, your CV, and it gives you a narrative, of all your qualifications and why you are interested in role, why you should be, employed or given a chance to be interviewed at the end of the day. So now, the next part is the conclusion part, right? So when you're ending your letter, you want to be able to reiterate your enthusiasm and say, I'm very, keen with joining your organization because I'm quite passionate with your mission, your values, and welcome a chance, to receive an interview invitation. And then of course, kindly find attached my CV, right? So you want to also give a thank you at the end, and of course, regards, your name, right? Your name, your full name, your professional name, because I know that we have nicknames and all. So you want to sign the email. Sincerely works, yours faithfully works, right? Your name, your phone number, and even possibly your email address. Because remember, nomenclature, and you want to be remembered, right? At the end of, so that maybe the person reads your cover letter and they are so impressed. So they don't go start looking for your CV, right? Look for your number, your email, and your phone number. Everything is your sign out at the end of the day. So we're not taking any chances. Essentially, you want to be able to you're all here for the opportunity to be called back for an interview, right? So that is cover letter. Now, this is a part I really want you to pay attention to because this is like the middle, right? So you have prepared your CV, your cover letter, you've applied for a job, and you have now been called for an interview. Congratulations, right? So what next? Now I'm just going to give you 3 key pre-interview best practices. If you can master these 3 points, any interview you go to, you will be a star, right? So now the very first one is to research the employer. I feel like if there's one thing you should never do is to walk into an interview and not knowing anything about the company. It will be like the greatest mistake that's ever been made in the history of interviews or in the history of job session. It will look like this person is not interested. You know how you have shown interest in all your CV and everything, It will just mean that, you're not interested at all. You were just, trying to be who you're not at the end of the day. So you want to ensure that you research the employer. Go beyond just their website. Check for their social media handle. I feel like the average Nigerian spends so much time on social media. We are always, scrolling, endless scrolling, checking everything, all the latest news. Please, while you're checking all the latest news, search for this company, search for their social media handles, search for news about them. Go on Google, type the name. I don't believe that there's any company that does not have a trace, right? Check LinkedIn, check for their page, check for reviews. All of that will give you a sense of their culture, their mission, their values. And now, of course, another thing too is you want to be able to review the job descriptions and list the key skills and experiences, they are seeking for, and be ready to demonstrate how you meet these needs. Remember. Now, the next one is prepare your responses, right? So I think one advice I'll give you in this area is don't cram your answers. How cramming can be so funny. I don't know. I'm sure sometimes I used to remember if I'm talking about cram. I used to remember those days, in school where you will cram, a definition or something, and then you now go and write the exam or a test, and then you forget a particular line. Right? You know how you'll be so stuck. Now that's an exam that you're writing between you and you, right? Now imagine you're talking to somebody with an information that you have crammed in your head, and now you can't remember some part of it. Right? It can just make you feel lost in the moment. It can make you lose your balance, your confidence. You even start to question, everything that you be like, why did I even go for this? Like, I just rejected this interview in the first place, right? So ensure not to cram your answer. Just practice common interview questions. Questions like, tell me about yourself, right? I feel like that's like every interview you go to, you definitely be asked. And that question is usually like, an opening, and it's for you to get the opportunity to be able to self-promote yourself. And now I think over the past, is it 1 week or 2 weeks, I've been sharing insights on interview on my LinkedIn. And I think there was a post I had put out for interview, how to answer, tell me about yourself, right? So I think most people do not get it, when they say, tell me about yourself, they think, the person wants to know you as your friend, right? They want, okay, they will not start to say, I am from a humble background, the firstborn of 3 siblings. I'm from Imo State. Sorry, that's just an example, please. Or they will say, I'm hardworking, just normal introduction as if you're talking to your friends, but this is an interview, and what the interviewer wants to hear is not, your background, where you came from, how many siblings you are, how many, they don't want to hear all of that. What they're interested in is your professional background. Why are you the best candidate for this job? So when you're giving that question, tell me about yourself, you want to be, sure to kill it. You want to, be able to talk about, who you are. And of course, start with a very powerful statement. Maybe like, I'm a result driven, all this, you want to get the person locked in with you, right? At the end of the day, because from the response, from the kind of response you give, tell me about yourself, you can determine, how this interview is going to go from beginning to the end, right? So you want to be able to show you get the attention of the recruiter or the hiring manager or the employer. In any case, from the very beginning, you want to be able to show, sell yourself in the best light. So practice common interview questions. Tell me about yourself. Why should we hire you? Do you have any questions for us? I think some other ones will be, what are your areas of strengths and weaknesses? What are your core skills? They have interview questions that are repetitive. Interview questions, the thing is, there are different types of interviews. If there are like a lot of interviews, I'm not even sure candidates know that there are so many ways, HR people or recruiters test, candidates, depending on the kind of role, right? Sometimes they combine, 2 types or 3 types of interview processes all together, right? Sometimes an interviewer can decide to do behavioral interview questions, situational, technical. I think another one is hypothetical, motivational questions, right? Even some competency based. So, but you want to be sure that, you prepare, at least practice the common interview questions that, come up every day. And of course, prepare for questions that require examples of your past work experience. So another thing too is for you to do this area is for you to look at your CV, look at the things you've written down as your, your results or achievements, right? And you want to be sure to be able to, if a question comes from 1 or 2, you should be able to talk about it. And I think the guide I usually give in structuring your answers, when you want to respond to questions, is to use the STAR method, right? STAR just means, situation, task, action, result. So for example, you're asked a question to say, maybe tell me about a time where, which example will I use now? Maybe they say, tell me about a time where you led a team on a project, for example, as an interview question. So the best way for you to really sell yourself is using the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. So of course, present a situation, right? So you could say, there was a particular time where I was given the responsibility to lead a team through a customer survey, project. That's a situation, right? And we came together and we sent a survey link, for example, to all the customers, that we've had for the whole year. So now that's a task that people have performed. And of course, it also reflects the action. Then we then gathered the feedbacks and we used it, to improve our services. And we're able to launch a new product or cross-sell another product to customers, achieving maybe 10% increase in revenue, right? So if I give an answer that followed through like that, right, even you as an interviewer, I'd be like, okay, this person really knows what they're doing. So just ensure to stick to the STAR method is the best. There's also the SMART method, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But STAR is always the easiest because you can easily talk through. You answer the questions not from the sky. You answer the questions based off of what you have done. And I think that's really what interviewers are looking for, genuine people that are really committed to getting results on their job. Now, the next part, which is very important, is to master the act of relaxation. Now, you can research your employer, you can prepare your responses, you can, have all these things. But if you are not relaxed at an interview, right, your nerves will fail you. You will lose your confidence. You will even forget what you want to say. I've witnessed some really, interview sessions that I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's stop for today. We can reschedule, or maybe take a break. Go and breathe. But of course, it's not every interviewer that give you the opportunity. There's some interviewers that, once all of that is going on, please, thank you for coming, right? So depending on who you're going to meet, but you want to be able to master the act of relaxation. And I always recommend calming your nerves by practicing relaxation techniques. You can practice deep breathing, visualization, right? Just, breathe, be calm, right? You're coming, you see yourself, you're an asset to this company. So why are you afraid? Talk about these things, be confident in yourself, essentially. Don't be afraid. No matter what the interviewer face look like, even if they're not smiling at you, be smiling and be confident and be saying everything you're saying, right? And I plan your outfit ahead of time and ensure it's appropriate for the company and position, and make sure you're well rested and looking your best. So this is just, a point I added for those, going for physical interviews, right? Because sometimes, your answers may be right, everything may be right, but then you showed up looking like, you're not serious about the job, or you showed up looking like, you do not understand what is going on here, right? So you want to be appropriately dressed. The normal saying, they say it's cliche, but dress how you want to be addressed, right? You say you're a professional and you have achieved so much, you have results, you're coming to come out. So, show up as, all the things that you're passionate about. Show up as a professional. Corporate dressing is not even supposed to be too much these days. I think for guys, a very good shirt, pants, shoes, belt. I think you're good to go. You don't necessarily need to go and not tie or suit. But of course, if you see the organization at home, you need to be able to add, all this other stuff. Please do. For ladies, corporate gowns, fine, shoes, good, cover shoes, always. A very nice, good looking skirt, a good shirt. You know what we're talking about. Professional, please. You want to dress appropriately. And even for virtual interviews, don't just show up like that. Let them know that you're doing business, right? Because they want to commit their business into your hand. Let them know that they're talking to somebody that is actually serious. So even for a virtual interview, you don't have to go and put on all the, at least, wear a shirt or a top that is professional, right? You don't want to wear singlets or, looking improper, even for a virtual interview. I want to ensure that, your camera is well positioned to at least show your shoulders up, your face looking into the camera at all times. So those are the three core areas I like to put out when you're preparing for interviews. Now, you have, prepared. This is the due day, right? Which is the interview blueprint. What do you do? Now, the first thing is to create a positive first impression. Now, depending on the kind of interview that you go for, all these scenarios I've actually put out here, most of them may speak more to, physical interview, but I'm also going to be able to touch, virtual interviews as we go. So now, create positive first impression. That's non-verbal communication. And you can do this by, just starting with a very firm handshake, right? A friendly smile, confident, but if they do not extend hand to you for shaking, please don't go and extend hand to interviewer. It just depends on the environment you're in. Interviewer may be like, oh, welcome, good morning. Maybe he wants to shake you, right? Ensure, maintain eye contact. Don't go and shine your eyes, right? So I'm actually saying all these things because, sometimes we do things that we do it excessively. So I'm always putting all these disclaimers so that you not say, okay, I attended the webinar, I said we should look into the interviewers and I went to go and look at. So please, keep it really professional. So you want to maintain a very firm handshake. It shouldn't show that you're afraid, right? Or you're not sure, confident in yourself. And of course, a very friendly smile, right? You're not here to fight everybody. You're here to be part of this purpose. And a confident body language. Be seated properly, be relaxed. Don't be overly stressed or moving around the whole place. Just be very composed, right? And engage the interviewer. Make a genuine effort to connect with the interviewer by asking thoughtful questions and demonstrate your enthusiasm for the role, right? So one thing that we help you in this area is for every time an interviewer asks you a question, right, and then they now give you the opportunity to ask them questions, ensure you listen attentively, right? By listening attentively, you'll be able to pick out, some things that you can throw back to ensure the communication, is connected, at the end of the day. I think I'll probably share a personal experience. I've gone to an interview before, and I think what got me the job was the last question I asked. And the question, for some people, that's why I say you have to study your interviewer, right? Study your interviewer to know if you can even ask questions like this, right? So the question was, do you have any questions for us, right? There are a lot of questions you can ask in this scenario. But the question I asked was, when is my start date? An interviewer laughed. The interview has been serious from the beginning. But at that point, I just asked, when is the start date? Like, when is my start date for this job? And the person just laughed. I was like, start date. Is that how you are? I'm like, I believe you'll be missing out on a great asset because, I now use that response to solidify myself. I'm like, see, hot cake, right? So when is the start date? At the end of the day, right? And I got that gig, right? So you want to use this part, ask questions that let them know that you know what. See, if you miss out on me, your company, at the end of the day. But ensure you have a lot of confidence, right? So of course, other questions that you can ask, you can ask about, you want to know how the company was founded, how the vision came about, or what does the company culture looks like, or what success in this role looks like, right? Or what are even the KPIs, right? The key performance indicators for this role if somebody starts this job. So ask them, let them know that you know this thing, you're not just coming from anywhere to come apply for this job, that you're the woman and you're the man for this job. Now, I think I've already stressed on confidence like throughout this call. Ask questions with confidence. You want to ask questions, with confidence. Like, be clear, be concise. Keep your answers to the point. Sometimes I think another mistakes candidates make is they talk too much. Like, listen, if you do not get the question, ask again so that you just answer exactly what you have been asked at the end of the day. You do not want to be rambling, over explaining or unnecessary. You think when you talk too much, you start to say things that are wrong. So, be very watchful of what you say, right, at the end of the day. Be specific. Use the STAR. I think I've mentioned STAR before. Frame your answers. Speak about tangible outcomes and achievement from your past roles to demonstrate your success. The truth is, the things that will sell you, that will make you stand out from A and B and C, is the things that you naturally shine at. So you know what? Maximize your strengths. I know people like, oh, this is my weakness. This is my. See, personally, I do not pay attention to any area of improvement I have. So in HR, we don't call it weakness and we call it areas of improvement. So I personally, right, do not pay attention to areas of improvement. Instead, I maximize my strength. And in maximizing my strength, you will not even realize I have areas of improvement. That's one goal that I've always used in my career journey. You say, oh, I'm someone that don't know how to talk. But of course, if you are a great writer, why not write the hell out of that skill? And nobody will be able to tell if you can actually even speak publicly or not. But of course, as you're doing that, you know I'm just saying, don't pay attention to it. Let it not be a setback for you, right? So the things that you naturally shine at, your strength, ensure that, your presence is felt in that role, while you work on all other areas independently on your own, right? Because those are really your areas, not other people's areas. So you want to be able to shine in your strengths, right? So the next thing is handling difficult questions. The truth is, every interview will not be green or white or black. You will come across questions that will be tricky, unexpected. Some questions that you'll be wondering in your mind, where did you bring this question from? Do you want to kill me? Right? Do you want to, what's the plan? Right? So please stay calm. Take a moment to think before answering. And it is also perfectly okay, right, to say that this particular one, right, you do not have an idea. Sometimes honesty is the key, because it would do you more disservice if you try to answer the question and you not get it wrong. You would have wasted the interviewer's time, wasted your time, and maybe that interviewer has like maybe other 5 candidates lined up. You wasted everybody's time at the end of the day. So it's sometimes perfectly okay, except you really have a clue, you have a bit of this or that to say. You can mention the areas you think you can contribute. And of course, another thing is to be able to frame negative situations positively. So if you ask about a challenge, focus on how you overcame it and what you learned. Now I'm going to highlight some sample questions they usually ask in this area. So there are sometimes an interviewer will ask you, why do you want to leave your current organization? I feel like this question, people do not really still understand how to answer it. Why do you want to leave? They want to know why you want to move, right? Maybe, right, there may be some real life issues, maybe toxic workplace culture, your boss, this drama in workplaces. Maybe that's why you want to leave, or your manager says something to you, let me go look for a job, right? I want to leave this place, right? But for the purpose of interview, you want to shine, you want to stand out. When you ask that question, don't go and mention, these things that are the real issues, right? You want to be able to, so like I said, focus on you. Whatever your manager did and want to make you leave the job is nobody's business. It's irrelevant to your interview. Focus on you. What would this job do for you? That should guide your answer, right? It could be that, you see a clear career trajectory in this role, right? And you see that the mission of this company will seamlessly align with the goals that you have, for your next phase in your career, or the next steps in your career. Focus on you. Whatever anybody did to you, just leave that, aside, right, at the end of the day. So they may even ask you questions like, another challenge that usually come up in this area is they ask you, why do you have a career gap, in your CV? Some person, for some reason, maybe for like a year or two, they were not working. Maybe they went back to business or something, and then they're back. When you get questions like that, you want to be able to frame them in positive light. Don't just go and say, okay, yes, for 2 years, I stopped working, You can say you took off some time for personal development. You took off some time to try new skills, right? And now that you have mastered them, you are back to this job. Remember, the focus is on you, right? So whatever it is that's happening in the environment doesn't matter. It is you that we are focused on. So sell yourself in the best light. Now, the final thing about the interview blueprint is be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else. Allow your true self shine. Because, of course, it's you. The focus is you now, right? Highlight your strengths. Don't be anybody. Don't go and even be speaking for Naya. I think there was a very fun interview experience I had. The person was trying to, all this trying. I'm like, I can't get what you're saying, We're in Nigeria. Speak, right? So, of course, if that's your accent, it's great. But, just ensure that, you're not happy to be who you're not. Be who you are. Your personal self, your unique self will always shine through every single day. And I think the next thing I want to go into is post-interview actions. But I just want to be sure that, everybody is following, I'm not just, talking to myself or people have no. So I want to be sure you're following. So if you've ever gone to an interview before and, you've been asked like tricky questions, right? Just drop one in the chat box. Drop one in the chat box. And if you're able to also type it will also be great, so that you can also play around with it. So if you've gone for interview before, what kind of experience have you had? from creating positive first impressions. Have you ever met in an interview that you shook, in the hand and it looked like, the body language did not match, just, tell me a bit of your experience in a comment. So you drop a 1 and then or type what it is, that on. So I think I'll probably leave Nusa to track if there's any comments, and I'll probably move on to the next slide. So so now post-interview actions. I think we're already even at the end of the webinar. So be dropping your responses. I'm going to come back to it, right? Post-interview actions. I think I made it a wheel because, of course, it's a circle. It's non-stop until you get the job that is your dream job, right? So send a thank you note. Send a personalized thank you email within 24 hours of the interview, right? Your interview today, by tomorrow, send, a personalized email to say, thank you for the opportunity to be interviewed for so role, right? And in the body of that mail, right, reiterate your interest in the role and express gratitude for the opportunity. And of course, you can reference some points from the interview that made it more memorable to you, the areas that really stuck out for you. We can mention it in your thank you notes, right? And then of course, after that, you want to do a self-reflection. You want to reflect on how you did during the interview, what worked well, between yourself. Sometimes we know the truth, but we don't want to tell ourselves the truth. So reflect and, know what you're going to improve next time. Note it, know what you're going to improve next time when you have another interview. Now, maintain professionalism. Whether you receive an offer or not, maintain a professional and courteous tone in all communications. Handle rejections gracefully and express thanks for the opportunity. I know that this part is very tricky, but you want to maintain professionalism. Believe me, there are a lot of things that happen in recruitment processes that, it's not even a story for today, but like there are a lot of things that go on that you do not know about, you don't have a clue about, right? So don't lose your, self. Another opportunity will come, right? So maintain, some people will be like, oh, I applied for this job, they interviewed me 3 times, nobody called me. Hey, Jesus Christ, no, that is not my lament. Move on, maintain professionalism, whether you receive offer or not. Following up, if you haven't heard back within the timeline mentioned by the interviewer, follow up with a polite email expressing continued interest and asking for any updates regarding the hiring process, right? You want to be able to follow. If the interviewer said, we'll get back to you in 2 weeks, if in 2 weeks you've not heard back from them, we could send an email and say, I'm still, reaching out to reaffirm my interest. I've not gotten the feedback, what's the next steps, You want to keep your, self memorable in the interviewer phase or, thoughts at all times. So it's a continuous circle, right? Until you get your dream job. So now, conclusion, right? Interview is a 2-way street where you showcase your skills, learn about the organization, and assess whether the role aligns with your goals and values. From crafting a compelling CV to preparing thoroughly, making a great impression during the interview, and following up with professionalism, every step matters. Now, I highlighted this part because it's very important. But above all, remember this. Your worth is not tied to the outcome of a single interview. Each experience, whether successful or not, right, is a step. It's a step to where you're meant to be. I'm going to take that again. Your worth is not tied to the outcome of a single interview. Each experience, whether successful or not, is a stepping stone to where you're meant to be. So go into every interview with confidence, curiosity, and a growth mindset. The right opportunity will come, and when it does, you'll be ready to seize it. Thank you so much. So now I think I can take those comments in the section. I can take the comments now.
This is a lot. This is a lot. I wish you could literally hear me clapping at the background, because this has been really an eye opener. It's really been an eye opener, and I must say, I for myself have actually had, a few things I have written down to, get get improved myself, right? Before we take those questions, right? So I have our managing consultant on the call. I'm sure he would love
Oh,
to put in a word or two. Hello, Mr. Dan. Can you hear me? Can you? Um, Hello, are you there, sir? Good evening, sir. Yeah. Okay.
good evening.
Thank you very much for this great exposure. It really came in handy, and I personally learned a lot from this, and I wish I was an applicant, I guess. so, so thank you. It came in handy because on 6 to 7 months, month-long training, this period is actually their transitioning period. In the next 1 2 months, they'll be done with their program, and the next phase is to go out there, do some. Though our aim is actually to train them towards entrepreneurship, but of course, some will still tend towards looking for job opportunities, and this has really come in handy. And I really, really appreciate you for this. On behalf of the students, I'm sure they are very, very grateful for this opportunity, and the video will keep being played along in our platforms and in classes. In fact, once they finish their major program, we have to still drop this video for their replay and their review. Thank you very much. We really appreciate this.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank
you're
you.
welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel. Okay, so moving on, once again, thank you very much, Juliet. Still trying to check out. Looks like okay, just one person wrote one. I think he told them to
Okay.
type one on the chat box, and
Okay.
I don't know if they're shy or something, but
You
you
can't be shy.
know.
Oh.
Well, I'm sure they are taking notes, and they are okay. One one person dropped a funny comment. He said he will not move on. That he will have to hack their website. Well, I think that's on a lighter note,
You want to
actually.
hack their website? How would you get a job now? Don't hack
Well,
anybody's website, please. But
so
do they
I
have
think
questions though?
no, I can't see any question yet. I can't see any
Okay.
question. Yeah,
So
can't
for
see any
the
question.
person that typed one, what was their experience? Can they share so that we can learn
Okay,
from?
I hope the person is hearing. Please, if you can hear me, do you mind sharing your experience so we can see? Um, okay, I'm not sure. I don't know. Hopefully, the person drops that and we'll get to reply as soon as possible. But okay. Okay, so I don't know. It looks like it's
Okay,
taking.
the person
Yeah.
is shy.
So,
All right.
but yeah, really, we really are grateful for. Okay, somebody just asked a question. She says, "How can I stay calm during the interview? How can
Mm.
I stay calm?" Because you know how most times, I mean, as humans, we're going to be under pressure. So this person is asking, "How do I stay calm right during the interview?" So can you just throw light on that? Did you get that? Hello, can you hear me? Oh. Hello, can you hear me? Uh, okay. Looks like her network is going up. Um,
Okay. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you
Okay,
now.
okay. I think I had a bit of a network glitch.
So did you get the question?
I didn't get it to the end. I think something
Oh,
about
okay.
staying.
Yeah, so I said the person was asking, how do I stay calm, in the midst of an interview? Yeah, so that's the question the person is asking.
Okay. So staying calm in an interview, right? I think I highlighted it a bit, but just, for more details, right? So what you want to be able to do is, it's for you to actually relax. I think some techniques I recommended was deep breathing, and you can do visualization. So now deep breathing in the sense that just remind yourself, because sometimes being unsettled in an interview is your mind, just playing tricks on you that you're going to mess this interview up, you're not going to do well. So you want to be able to structure your mind and say you will do well, right? And taking deep breaths, right, helps to relax your mind, right? So all of these techniques, you should have already practiced them before. And of course, if you now get to the interview and it looks like you're a bit unsettled, just remind yourself of who you are. Remind yourself that this interview is going to go well. Sometimes it's just fear, right? Fear plays a trick. Maybe they ask a particular question that threw you off balance, which is why it's important that everything you do from when you arrive at the interview, from when it started, because all of that will contribute to how your mood or your body language is from beginning till the end. So just pay attention to how you start, and pay attention to the kind of mindset you're going into the interview with. And of course, the deep breaths, the visualization of you succeeding at that interview. That's even like, if you can do that, that's even like the best confidence booster that you need. Visualize yourself succeeding at that. Even if your answer is not, even if the answer you're giving, right, is not, visualize yourself succeeding at that interview. So I think if you do all of that, you will be good. You'll be fine at the end of the day. So remember, it's just playing a trick on you. You can do this.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. I think we have one more question. I think we'll just have to, after that question, that will be all. So someone is asking. Oh, okay. I think more questions are flowing in. All right. So the first question, the next question is saying, sure. Can I ask why companies do ask for those that have experience without giving the amateur an opportunity to show what they can do?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I feel like I won't be able to speak for all companies. Maybe I'll probably answer this question from my perspective, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing you should know about every job ad that goes out, there have been meetings, there have been, strategy, hiring manager has, departments, and they have given a specific of the kind of person they're looking for, right? So in some kind of departments or in some kind of roles, what will work better is people that already have dedicated experience in this field, because they're not looking to wait for somebody to catch up. It doesn't reflect, to say, okay, they do not believe, entry level, or they do not believe, in those that are just starting. Believe me, nobody has issue with amateurs or, entry. I don't like to use the word amateur. I like to use entry level, right? So not like nobody believes in you, but it's just what that role requires. Not like you do not have a chance. But of course, there are also roles that people have put out, recruiters have put out that, specifically they will tell you, this is for so years of experience, entry level 0 to, 1 year, 0 to 2 years, as the case may be. So it's not really dependent on, someone trying not to give you a chance, but it is just what the role needs. There are some roles that, you need an experienced person. There's no way out of it. There's no way to, I think I've recruited for a role before, a C-suite level role, for example, right? I can't give consideration to someone that just finishing school for that kind of role, for example, right? It's C-suite, right? That's foresight, that's chief executive. So there are some roles that, nothing can really be done, right? Because you cannot grow into it. I cannot employ an entry-level person today and say, okay, you are now the chief this. We want you to grow into this role. Remember, there are other departments, there are other levels in organization, and this is what would work in terms of experience. So that just really is for me.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So this next person is asking, says, what do you do about a job role that constantly adds tasks that are not on your contract of employment? And sometimes these tasks falls under the job descriptions of other staff whose positions are higher than yours. And more so, and they are those other people whose job descriptions are being transferred to you, they are paid more than you are being paid. So what do you do in that situation,
in that kind of place?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the best advice I would give would be this, right? So of course, nobody deserves to be unsatisfied with their job. So I don't know how this person has approached, this issue before, but I think the very first point of action would be to have a one-on-one with your line manager or your reporting line, as the case may be. So you want to be able to, express, depending on the kind of organization you want to be able to express, what your concerns are. That this particular description or job description was not really stated, in my contract or in my employment. I really just want to understand I'm being given this responsibility. And of course, the other areas we've mentioned of things that you think are not, your job description, but somebody else, is supposed to do it, not doing it. And of course, everything is passed on to you. And I also want to guess that this person probably is an entry level or mid level. Can the person confirm what level they are in? What level are you in? Entry, middle, senior? I'd love to know so that I know how to frame this question so that I don't get too trouble. I want to know.
The person would
please specify. Okay.
So while we wait for the person to do that, there are some other questions that have come in. One person is saying, so in a remote environment, maintaining team engagement and productivity can be challenging. What's one method or initiative you have used to keep the company going?
Okay.
Right? Before you go on, so the person is asking a second question. So describe a time when miscommunication between teams or departments has led to a significant issue. How did you handle it?
Interview me. I feel like I'm being interviewed now. Except you give me 1 billion naira.
Okay, but I think the person is just trying to see how do you handle miscommunication between teams and departments something like that.
Okay. So I think I'll take the first one. That's the remote one first.
Mm-hmm.
So I think from my experience in managing remote teams, right? I think my current organization, I set up hybrid work system for us. It wasn't there before. And from my own personal experience, right, I think the key to really getting productivity, of employees in remote team is to have a culture that fosters autonomy, right? If you have not been able to achieve that on site, please, you're going to really stress yourself doing remote, when you start remote work. So you want to be able to have a culture that fosters autonomy. What do I mean by autonomy? Giving people the power to be in control of their job, to deliver their best self, right? Not having need to, micromanage or look over their shoulder or follow up with them. Like have a culture, have employees that would naturally, do their job, whether nobody's looking, right? So now when you've been able to have that in place, right, in managing remote teams, right, you want to be able to have tools. Hope you have the right tools for tracking, the right tools for measuring productivity. And another thing you also want to have is incentives. The truth is, right, everybody would do something for gain at the end of the day, right? Sure. Forget zeal, forget fire, forget, all this. People will do things, when there's things to gain at the end of the day. Especially if it's a team that you're trying to improve their morale, you're trying to get them to be more productive or something. So you can include things like, incentives that can speak to, when you finish a particular task, when you finish a particular point, or when you hit a certain target at the end of the day. And the other thing I will also advise, for every remote team member, that you have, you want to ensure they have clear responsibility. There should be no confusion at all, right, in the role that they are supposed to play. That's one very key thing. Let everybody have a very clear, their deliverables, the role they play, how they contribute to the team, and how even their effort will now, add together, the aggregate to give a common goal to that team and to the organization. So now once you have, clarity in roles, and of course, have your productivity tools and ensure you already have the right culture in place, I don't think you really have anything to worry about, because I believe those are the things that have helped me. Like I'm just giving real answers, real life answers that have helped me, managing a remote team. So that's really it. And if currently you have a team that looks like, you're not getting productivity, looks like, what's going on, you're not getting, maybe you need to reevaluate the process you have in place. Just check, maybe it's too cumbersome, maybe the reporting line is too cumbersome, or the roles, people are not clear on what they're supposed to do, what the part they play. So do an analysis of what you have on ground, and I'm very sure you identify what the fault is, and you're able to recommend solutions that will also work. Yeah, thank you. Then I think the second question, I don't know, could you repeat the second question again about that difficulty with teams?
Oh, okay. So the person is asking, how do you handle challenges of miscommunication between teams or within departments? Right? Okay. How do you manage that sort of scenario? Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I think the very first key thing to establish is, I believe this question is coming from someone who already leads a team, right? So my advice or my recommendation would be, don't go into resolutions of conflicts as though you're trying to pick who is a winner and who is a loser, or who is right and who is wrong. Always go into these discussions as a mediator. Now, I personally believe that nothing happens by accident. Conflicts doesn't just come out of nowhere. People don't just come to mind and be like, today I'm going to, prepare conflicts in this. No, conflicts happen as a result of something. So what you want to do to be able to resolve, or the thing is, conflicts will always arise. The fact that we are all from different backgrounds, put together to achieve a common goal, there will be conflicts. You can't even avoid it. But the key thing to, conflict resolution, the very first thing is open communication. Now, I use the word open, right? Because you're supposed to listen to both sides. Hear from everybody what is going on. If it's between two people, if it's between different team members, you want to hear from what is going on. Now, what you hear, and remember you're a mediator, so you're not meant to say, okay, oh, wow, this person said this, wow, you're supposed to maintain, decorum, your emotional expressions, even your body language when you're receiving this information has to be in the right place. Get this information together, right? And you will be able to tell what the problem is. Now, another thing that you can now do after being able to analyze the root cause of the problem is to now, in that department, depending on what the issue is or where the area of that issue is, right? You would now recommend solutions. And solutions can just mean, realignment to what the focus of the team is, right? It may be that maybe in a case where maybe a particular team member does not always meet deadline, right? And it makes the team not to succeed. So of course, every other team member has issue with this particular person because, but the reason why we're not hitting our targets, or the reason why we're not getting our incentives. So of course, in resolving something like that, this person called the person one-on-one and find out what is happening. Seeking from a place to understand, not to accuse, right? In this scenario. So when you get this, you now find ways to support this person, to be able to contribute to the common goal of the team. So now, open communication to understand the concerns and the root cause of the problem. And when you have done this, right, now provide solutions according to what you will find. Another thing you can also do is have a feedback system in your team, in your department. Have a situation or a process how people can give you feedback in the team. Now, this is not whistleblowing. This is not a eye service, the normal reporting that happens in departments, not that type. But, just have a safety net, right, among your team members, how everybody can really share, their voice. Every member is heard, every member is seen, to contribute to departmental goals. So I think that's like the areas I'd like to recommend for that. So I don't know if that person,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that person the person has responded. He said he's mid-level, and though they have had several back and forth on reviewing the contract of employment, but it's still the way it is. It's still that same way. So.
Okay. So you've already had conversations back and forth, and there is no resolution. Now your line manager, everybody is saying the same thing. Okay, so if you're mid-level, it probably means the people that you're currently doing their work at senior level. So right, so you're quite in a very tight space. So now I think what you can do is evaluate that job you're currently doing, right? Now, this is coming from like even a very personal experience. Evaluate that job you're doing, and also evaluate how it contributes to you as a person and as a professional, right? Be sure that it's, when you're looking at these things, don't just look at, how much you get paid on the job, look at the things that, this job has actually made meaningful. Now, if it outweighs, your worries of, being given extra work to do, right? You can make a decision, to focus your attention on this, right? Focus on the areas where it is making you excel, if they are much greater than, But of course, if you do an analysis of how you joined the company, where you are now, if it looks like, nothing is really happening, no contribution, then maybe, right, is a sign that it may be time to hang boots. But of course, you want to do a critical reflection, right? And be sure that, this does not align before you get to that point. You have to do a critical reflection of where you are. If it looks like, you're doing so much, you're getting burnout, because really, you have to be able to look out for yourself. If you're getting burnout, if you're not being properly compensated, and you've also checked other areas, and it's not as if, this is contributing to, a better career path for you, nothing to gain at the end of the day, then of course, right, you will now take a decision that is best for you in this case. But I think the areas I would recommend is to speak, you say you've already spoken to your line manager, no response, so of course, I can tell that where it's coming from is flowing from the top, and you're in the middle, and maybe you don't have anybody to flow it to, is why it's feeling like that. So at least I would have said maybe you can find a way to delegate if you had like a team member, or if you have like your own reporting people that report to you. You can find ways to also delegate to make your job a lot easier. So depending on how it is, just do a self-reflection and weigh, your options. Weigh what you gain, weigh what you don't gain, and see how you can get a way around it at the end of the day. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very, very much. This really has been an amazing session. So just like a conclusion, a word for our viewers out there, right? I'd love that you take your conclusion alongside. There's also one question I also want you to, take alongside. So this person is also asking, he has sent, if the interviewer has requested that they would get back to him in 2 weeks' time, but it's getting to a month, it's getting to a month, no response yet. How do you manage that? So I just want you to, while you answer that question, you just, wrap off with a conclusion. True. Yeah.
All right. So the truth is, like I said, there are a lot of things that happen in interviews that, so everybody just feel like when you submit your CV, you're interviewed, get back to me in 2 weeks. But right, you should get a feedback within the time, the interviewer has told you. But there are unforeseen circumstances that happen during interviews. But I think one thing that you should, keep in mind is, as a way to move forward would be, if they said they were going to get back to you in 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks has passed, 1 month has passed. So it's only two things that could be happening. Number one, either maybe they are not done with the screening process. Maybe maybe the applications they received, they are still in the process, they're not done, right? Or secondly, just maybe you're not the candidate for that job. Right, so it's either of these two things. Either because if you were the person for that job, I'm not sure they will be keeping your offer letter, or maybe the person will go and print it and hang it in their room that I'm going to drop this offer letter in 2 months' time. Nobody's going to do that, because every recruiter also has days to fill a position. So they are not going to be they will not take your offer letter and hang it to display and say, okay, in 2 months' time I will release it. No. So two things will be happening. Either the process is still ongoing. Sometimes you get a response telling you that, okay, sorry, we've moved on to another candidate, or process is still on. Then second thing could be you're not the person for that job. So I believe that if after 1 month you don't hear from a job opportunity anymore, please keep it moving, right? I think even the recommendations I usually give in my community is to say, 2 weeks max. If you've not heard, from anybody, 1 month max. Don't do one interview and say, okay, you're waiting for this particular offer, right? I expect that you are applying, if you're actively really searching for a job, at least in a day, you apply to at least 5 companies. If you really want to get something, to put like your options, out there. So you're applying to at least 5 companies. So you're getting back-to-back interviews, here and there. So if you're even busy like that, you never remember the jobs that you've not followed up. That's the truth. So keep it moving at the end of the day. If you were the person for that job, they will reach out to you. They will engage you. People will go back and forth to the offer, and the rest is history at the end of the day. So concluding my presentation for the evening is just to say you can connect with me, right? I think part of my introduction, Nosa had mentioned that I lead Jobshore Nigeria, which is a platform that I set up late last year with a mission to enhance the career journey for both job seekers, professionals, by providing 24/7 access to resources, expert guidance, and opportunities that foster growth and achievement. And through this medium, I provide employability solutions. If you need experts, professional help with CV writing, cover letters, LinkedIn, job application guide, you want to be coached for interviews, you want to be prepped before you go for interviews. And of course, if you're interested in transitioning into HR, you don't know where to start, we have the HR Career Launchpad program, and of course, Career Trajectory Guide. If you just need somebody to talk to about your career journey, you're not sure, you're in the right career path, you need guidance, you need somebody to hold your hands, or maybe you just need a sounding board at the end of the day, right? We also do all of that. So these are employability solutions. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Juliet Keporo, right? You can search that on WhatsApp. My email address is also there, jobshore247@gmail.com, and of course, our Instagram handle. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you, SpinLink, High Tech Solutions. Hope I got the name right. Limited. Yeah. So thank you so much. That is all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Juliet. We indeed are grateful. We indeed are very, very grateful. And I'm sure that our viewers out there as well, they have had lots and loads of information from your session. And once again, this webinar series is brought to you by SpinLink High Tech Solutions Limited. Right, we are an IT firm that's we provide different solutions, right, ranging from IT solutions to networking services, technical security, digital marketing, cloud services, and we do lots of certified trainings, cybersecurity trainings, data analytics training, full stack web development training, and lots more. So if you want to reach out to us, you can go to our website, which is www.speedlinkng.com. All right. And so you can also follow us on all our social media at SpeedLinkNG. We are SpeedLink High Tech Solutions Limited on all social medias, on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook as well. So do well to reach out to us if you have any issue, and of course, we'll